Okay, hey now everybody. Welcome back. Brand new Take Aim podcast. Excited this week to chat with my good buddy, Scotti Campbell from TAP-222 Texas Outfitters. Scotty's had a busy week to say the least. The deer are up and moving, getting pretty much like rut activity down there in the Panhandle of Texas. And I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit about Aaron Snyder was just in camp. Him and his wife and one of his buddies just shot some great deer. And Scotty himself just put down an old Texas warrior, old Panhandle buck. So super excited to get this show out and hear about these hunts. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you guys next week. Buddy, we're live, brand new Take Aim podcast, and always happy to talk with my good buddy, Scotti Campbell from TAP-222 Texas Outfitters in the Texas Panhandle. What's happening, Scotty?
Not much, Brandon. How are you, buddy?
Not much, man. Just another day in Michigan. It's cold, and I'm kind of, as you know, watching from the sideline, so to speak.
Yeah, I hate that about your arm, man. That's not good. It's as much as you love hunting, being there, not being able to pull a bow back. That's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit tough. Let alone I couldn't holster a gun. Or shoulder a gun. I couldn't get a crossbow on a shooting stick even, or I don't have two arms to hold a stick and a crossbow, so just nothing at the moment works for me. Which, as you alluded to a second ago, man, that pretty well stinks for me.
Yeah, puts you down to doing podcasts, I guess.
That's right. But at least it makes me excited when I see guys like you, and I know you just had Aaron Snyder and his wife. What was the other fellow with Aaron? Down with you?
Jake Downs.
Jake, yep. So I know you guys were having fun, and it always gets me excited to see some happy hunters.
Yeah, man, it's been pretty good so far. Before we get too far there, I've done that same thing you did. It's been quite a few years ago, man, and I couldn't even wave at anyone for 3 months. It's horrible, but mine happened during the summer, so it didn't affect my deer hunting. but that's tough.
Yeah, what's funny is, was it yesterday? I ran into somebody who had asked me what had happened because my arm's still in a sling, and she said that it happened to her husband, and he waited so long to do the surgery that once they decided to do it, they couldn't find the tendon to pull the muscle back down. So they literally stitched them up and was like, there you go. Sorry about your luck.
Man, that's what I've done. I didn't go to the doctor like a idiot, and it don't bother me now, but it's pretty ugly. My bicep is up by my shoulder, and
right.
It's not cool. But I don't know. Being an idiot, I didn't go to the doctor, and let it just heal up, and I'm sure they couldn't fix it now. But it's not good.
Right. Yeah. He gave me some situations, let's say, and he just said it was, a pretty severe injury because, for those that don't know, I tore my bicep off my forearm bone, completely 100% torn. And, it was basically like, hey, you're going to potentially miss on my hunting season, which totally affected my psyche, I'm not going to lie. But, when they give you the reality at 60 or even 55, I'm left-handed. It's my left arm. And when they tell you won't be able to turn a bathroom doorknob or any door knob, at 55 or 60, man, that's pretty scary. So I alluded to have the surgery and to have it repaired. And luckily for me, the surgery went well. And now today I start physical therapy. So rehab time, and hopefully here in a couple of weeks, I'll be in really good shape.
Yep. Get back to deer hunting. Maybe you could get a little hunt in before the season ends somewhere.
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be nice for sure. So that's the plan anyways. We'll see what happens. But today will be a big test. There's not a lot of flexibility. I got my cast off 2 days ago, and just the movement's weird. It looks weird. You're afraid to do anything. You kind of over baby it, so to speak. But they're asking me to baby it, but you're just afraid to move it. So I'm excited to get to therapy to kind of learn my limitations, so to say.
That's right. When you get the stitch where it's healed enough that the stitches are gone away, then start using it, I bet you're better off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that is kind of part of it. They want you to be using it, and they want me to be in physical therapy a few days a week. So more or less, man, I'm not going to lie, I'll be excited to be doing that. So for sure.
Yeah,
So,
but you got to have a good season before that happened, though, huh?
I did, yeah. I did get lucky, and I didn't really talk about it on the podcast too much. But, yeah, super excited to shoot an awesome deer in northern Indiana, and, excited. It was kind of a quick trip because it was just, over a weekend, like a 3-day hunt, to go visit my buddy Scotti Goodwin, and one of my other buddies we call Samuel was there. So it was nice to kind of have a little mini deer camp with us three hanging out, and got to shoot in a really nice buck on an awesome hunt. And, man, one of the hardest situations ever to get a shot at this deer. I was sitting in a very old and mature maple tree, and for people in the South or the West that don't know, like our maple trees here, lots of times they'll split into multiple trunks. And this one had 4 trunks. And this deer, wouldn't you know it, went between every trunk. So here I am with one arm. I can barely hold that bow up to begin with because it hurt so bad. And I had to hold, basically to give everybody kind of, what happened. I had to put the bow straight up in the air to get around each trunk. And he went through each one of those trunks, all within 10 yards of me. So it was pretty exciting, probably the most exciting 30 seconds of a deer hunt. It was, so intense. And then he got so close to me that it was really a downward steep angle. And it was like, felt like a minute just trying to get to the point where I could get my eye in the peep and get everything lined up to get the shot off. So, but nonetheless, it did happen. And man, I shot a really cool looking deer.
Man, that was an awesome deer. That Scotty's got things figured out up there, doesn't he? He killed a giant also, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. About really close to maybe 20 minutes from where I killed that deer on a different farm. And actually that next day, Scotti, me and him did my deer, skinned it out, and we deboned it and stuff like that. And then I went and ran some cameras with him on the other farm. And yeah, I mean, I give Scotti a lot of credit. He knows his deer. He knows that farm really well and all the habits of the deer and how to hunt it. And but we just, nonetheless, it was a great time to get to go do that. It was what I really needed before that surgery. So that was really cool.
Yeah, get that done before you blow your arm up.
That's right. But yeah, man, Scotti Goodwin shot like a 182 off that farm that we were running cameras on. So, within 20 minutes of each other, 2 giant bucks went down, basically because of Scotti. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say he's got things going on.
He's got it worked out for sure. So, but anyways, let's talk about what happened with you guys last week, Scotti, down there. Let's talk about what do you think the deer are doing or were doing last week? Or are you? I know you're way south of me, obviously, in Michigan, and the rut kind of changes state-wise, but what were you guys kind of looking at as far as what phase of the rut? Are they kind of up and seeking or pushing does a little?
Last week, man, they were kind of checking does, just kind of cruising. They were like transitioning that summer feed pattern to starting to spread out and really check does. That's when Snyder and Jake Downs and Amy were here, and it was sometimes that's a difficult week. Just how everything changes up right there, and man, and it puts you back to like, let's figure this deal out again. We were just running the crap out of cameras, checking and glassing, and of course, obviously we can glass way further than anybody in the woods. We're able to see a whole lot more with glass, but anyway, it put us to scrambling, and we kidded Aaron all week. He was snake bit, man. He was he got to as we all do, start like when you've had and I'll back up. The first afternoon there, we had 11 bucks. I sat in a blind with him. We had 11 bucks on us, at different times. And man, I thought, yeah, this is going to be, it's going to be easy. And anyway, it's just one of those deals where the sun was going down. We were in a ground blind, and he can shoot through the netting of the ground blind, with that stick bow. And I actually, man, it's just you've been here, and you're not just always offered to set things up we were in the ground blind. We had like 11 bucks come through there, just in an evening. Anyway, we were so close to the trail, and as you know, out here, it's where like you just kind of got to set things up where you have to, not where it needs to be. So we're a little bit close to that trail, and anyway, man, the sun was setting in the west right there, and we just couldn't see through that mesh. And anyway, it was I thought, man, this is going to be easy. You know, we had this going on, and then it for Aaron, it got tough after that. He was snake bit, and kind of we get pull cards, and he got to kind of jumping around a little bit, and then finally we settled in on a found a good 7x5 really old mature buck and hunted him I think it was 3 days or 2 evenings, a morning and 2 evenings, something like that. All this stuff runs together. But anyway, had him at 32 and 38, and with that stick bow, man, it was just a little iffy getting a shot off, and couldn't get that deal done. But he ended up getting a really, really good old, like an 8.5-year-old 8-point that was super nice deer. And then Jake, he was he had the charm. He had deer all over him. He killed a deer right off the bat, like 140-inch 8 or something, a really nice deer. And then Amy, she came in, and she actually hunted up at my house. I had a little setup up here, and got her at that. You know, she's never, the only thing she's ever taken with her bow is a turkey, and so she wasn't positive she could shoot a deer. But the first afternoon, quite a few does come in, and I told her, I was like, you're welcome to shoot a doe if you want to, you know, break the ice. And she's like, I may wait on the buck and then shoot my doe. Well, the does left. Here in a bit, they came back to the corner of this little field we're set up in, and she said, I think I'm going to go ahead and take my doe. And I said, absolutely. And, man, just pinwheeled it for her first deer. Run 40 yards, 50 yards, fell over, end of story. And she was really pumped about that. She was nervous about, you know, I don't want to see one suffer, you know, go through all that. So anyway, and then we had 2 more sits, had this buck come in on us, a really nice 9-point, come in, and her bow was, when she went to draw, the arrow it made a noise on the rest. And so anyway, we got home that night, we put all I had was some moleskin, so Erin strapped some moleskin on it, and she was good to go. And the next morning, buck come in, and man, pinwheeled him at 25 yards. It was you know, that to me is as fun as anything, is being with someone excited about hunting and being their first deer. That was cool.
Yeah, that is neat. You know, you only get to experience that with so many people so many times. You know, nonetheless, it doesn't happen, is what I mean, very often. So that's pretty cool that you get to experience that with somebody and see them react, and the emotion is pretty wild, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was fun. And that, you know, I watched that buck like it was pretty early, and he was going into the sun, and of course I was watching through binoculars, and she's like, did I get him? And I said, yeah. I said, heck, he actually went. I watched him lay down. You know, he didn't go 40 yards and lay down. So it was cool, man. And we've killed a couple other pretty good bucks since then. Just kind of really you know, that was the first week of getting started. It was last week, and but right now, man, it's on. It's happening. They're running the does. It's the rut is going on.
Yeah, that's exciting times. And I was just looking at her buck she killed and Aaron's buck, and I mean, that's one of the neat things. Which, Scotty, I know you know this. You've hunted everywhere as well, but just to be able to, I don't care what it scores. You kill a deer that's 8.5 years old, man. I think that's as neat as anything out there, you know. And I know we're a culture of score-dependent animals, so to speak, but you know what I mean, Scotty? I just think that is as cool as it gets. You know, I'm saying that's as cool as shooting a booner. You know what I mean?
You know, it is to me, Brandon, because, man, it just takes the stars line. You know, everyone wants that 180 or 70 or whatever, and man, it just takes the stars lining up to do that. And we and like, for instance, Aaron's buck, we give Jake a pretty hard time. He was the camera guy. He that pictures of Aaron's deer does not do it justice at all. It's probably bigger than the deer Jake killed, heavier, wider. Just pictures didn't do it any justice. But yeah, that's cool to me, man. Is like, I don't know. I mean, we go through that in our lives, or I've been through the, you know, worrying to death about a score. But I'm with a stick and a string in your hand, man. It's all about the age deal, and out of, I think we've taken 5 or 6 bucks so far this year, and we're averaging 6 years old. The youngest deer has been 5.5, was Jake's deer. everything. And when I say that, I'm saying it loosely. We've got a couple of deer. You can't age. You can't even guesstimate. It's deer we've known for forever, that's been old forever, and we actually got a couple of them this year. Two of them we're just going to have to send off and have the teeth cut. I'll bet they're 10 plus.
Jeez, oh Pete. And it's just wild because you just don't hear of that. Like, that's not normal. Like, people don't kill usually. I mean, when you hear of a 6.5-year-old buck, that's prehistoric. And, and to get one 7 and 8 and to have deer older than that, man, it's so wild. Just to think that they've survived that grind day in and day out and that rut and evading so many guys out there hunting. It's really neat to me.
And that's where we're blessed up here, man, is such big chunks of land. All the property I have, and then along with my neighbors, I don't have many neighbors. I've got 2, but man, they're awesome guys. One of them actually owns 50,000 acres, and he is a very, very avid hunter and manager. And the other neighbor that I have, he's just a lease guy. He leases his country, but the same way, man. He's one guy on a huge chunk of property, and he does the same thing we all do. It's all about age class. And so, sometimes now there's a lot of deer that get age on them. We kind of don't need age on them, but that's just that's the bad with the good. Just because we do get such an age structure, these deer are able to just live a long life.
Yeah, for sure. They do, and it makes it truly unique and a special place you got down there, because that, like I said, it doesn't happen. And when you put it in perspective, the average deer, 90% of the deer shot in Michigan will be 1.5 to 2.5. So 90%. I think it was like less than 3% of deer in Michigan shot last year were over 3.5. So that is mind-boggling. You know what I mean? The difference. It's crazy.
It is. That makes it tough on a guy that's trying to manage something, because you can't hold deer on small pieces of property, and I understand that. You know what? You guys' properties aren't just or not as big as ours as a whole. That makes it tough. I'm not knocking anybody. If they want to hunt and shoot whatever and they lease that property, man, that is totally up to them. But it's and being an outfitter, I just can't sell that. I have to offer a product somebody's willing to buy, and in today's times, man, it's it's nice quality mature deer is what I have to sell.
Well, you got them for sure. That's for sure. What was that deer you guys just posted? Was it that Rob killed?
Yeah. Guy Rob, he's from Fort Worth. I didn't know him. He called me. One of those deals. He had went on the Texas Bowhunters Forum and talked to some guys looking for somewhere to go, and somebody recommended me, man. Thank goodness. And super good guy, come up here and was one of those guys. He said, "Hey man, I don't want to shoot just anything. I want a really old mature buck. It don't have to be a 170-inch deer, just as long as it's old and mature." And I said, "Well, cool, you're at the right place, because we don't shoot them unless they're old and mature." And I think it was the third morning, got that deer, man. It was a really nice deer. A 7-year-old deer we'd kind of known, watched grow up. When I talk like I know how old all these deer are, I'm no biologist by any means, but running cameras and living right here with them, man, we pretty much know, for the most part, all the deer we have. Now, this rut right here, we'll start picking up some deer. I don't know if you saw, like last week, I posted a picture of a deer we'd picked up on camera that we got a lot of pictures of him, but we didn't have anything early. I did not know the deer, but man, it was not a shopped photo. That's the biggest deer I've seen up here. A big white 8.
Yeah, I saw that, Scott. I was going to mention that. Yeah. Holy cow.
It looks fake, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks fake. He's got the body of a black bear almost. So big.
Yeah. I told someone, I was like, man, we're going to go buy scales when that guy, if he hits the ground. I don't if or when. Man, he'd have to be 300 pounds.
Oh, he's every bit of 300. I mean, you guys shoot some deer that are 200 plus pound anyways. and that deer absolutely dwarfs anything.
Yeah, that's what Aaron, that deer, Aaron's not hunted like this part of the world, and that deer he killed, he's like, holy man, what do you think that deer weighs? And I mean, he was between 230 and 250, without a set of scales, just a huge deer. And he was like, man, he's got to weigh 250. And all our deer, everything we've taken so far, yeah, it's been 2+ for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that is the opposite of what a lot of people probably think of. I mentioned this before in the podcast. A lot of people probably think of South Texas, which is what, Scotty, 12 hours away from you?
South Texas is a whole nother state.
Yeah, it's a whole nother state, and you get deer that basically, I'll just call it, they're Kansas transplant deer. I mean, they're Kansas deer that are, in that 250-pound range. They're just mega beast, and that's really what, to me anyways, that's what you have down there is what it resembles to me is mostly a Kansas type of deer. But I might be wrong, but man, it just seems like you have those type of deer because they get old and they get that big.
You're right. If you go back and read and to like biologists and people like that truly know we actually have Kansas deer as opposed to Texas deer in these high plains, which, man, I'm only 2 hours from Kansas, or an hour and a half. I'm an hour and 30 minutes from Kansas border, so it makes sense,
For sure, yeah.
That was that guy Rob that killed that deer. He was like I say from Fort Worth, and he hunted most all his life. He hunted down in that part of the world, and he was just astounded when he got to that deer. He's like, holy mo, these deer are freaking huge up here. He's like, I guess I'm used to looking at the Central Texas deer. He said, this deer is a giant. I'm like, yeah, they're different for sure.
Yeah, for sure. They're neat, and it reminds me of that, it rivals anything I would shoot in the Midwest, and that's pretty cool for sure. And I mean, as well as I do, Scotty, when a big one comes in, they're big, and it's neat to see their ears slick back and the big, huge neck, and you guys get those type of deer, and that's the most exciting type of deer to chase, if you ask me.
Yep, that's what I enjoy, matching wits or whatever you want to call it with a cagey old veteran. That's the fun of it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Scotty, so let's lead into your deer that you just killed with your bow, and I want to hear that story, obviously, but man, it's awesome deer. I'm assuming that's a 6 or 7 year old buck.
Yeah, he's pretty old. He was a deer. We had a couple days off. Ryan and I did in between hunts. I'd had a hunter who couldn't make it this week, so it gave us a few days off, and we come up here to the house, to the ranch. I need to do my ranching chores and help the wife out a little bit. And so we just had been watching it. I've watched this deer forever at my house, and he actually had lost a point this year. He didn't go down in antler size, other than he lost a G3 as opposed from last year. And we don't hunt very much here at the house, and so anyway, I was like, man, he's kind of gone downhill a little bit. And he was super regular. So anyway, this is about the only opportunity I'm gonna have to get to hunt a whitetail. So we're sitting there, I don't know, the afternoon before last, told Ryan, let's run down there and sit in that blind. You want to go? And he's, sure, I'll go. And so we run down there, and it was actually in the same blind where Amy got her deer. And anyway, we were sitting there, and sure enough, they started filing in. I got this blind set up on the corner of just a native brushy draw that they bed and stay in right on the corner of a wheat field at my house. And anyway, he followed, I don't know, it's 5 or 6 does he followed in there and piled into the wheat. And just as soon as he jumps the fence and comes into my little wheat patch, it was pretty funny, man. I'm sitting behind hunters 90% of my life, and it's the other 10% I'm hunting, usually spot and stalk. So, be elk or mule deer. So anyway, we're sitting in that blind. I told Ryan, I said, man, I got to remember that crack on that window. I said, if that deer comes in, or if a deer comes into the left, I got to raise my bow up and get through that sight window. So, you know how it is. The buck jumps in, and I forgot everything I'd been thinking about. And I'll give it to them old day 6s, man. The deer piled in there. I drew back. I think he was 19 yards. And anyway, I put the pin on him, and Ryan's sitting behind me watching, and he wouldn't say anything because he thought I was going to wait and swing right to where the hole in the blind, the window of the blind opened up wider. Man, I wasn't thinking. I just let it go. Whack. And it's the loudest sound you ever heard. And like, holy crap. But you could see, I seen the arrow just hit him, just pinwheeled him. And he run, I don't know, I think he run 80 yards right up the fence line right there, and we watched him fall over dead in the field. But Ryan said, man, I didn't think you was going to shoot just then. He said, that dang, I was looking down your arrow, and you were right through the blind. I said, man, I didn't even think about it. So I shot through the freaking blind, the skin on the blind, and it didn't alter the arrow, man. It drilled him.
No kidding. Oh, man. Scotty, was that, from your house, was that behind the house where you keep the horses, or was that across the street?
No, it's straight behind my house. I was actually at the corner of the horse pasture and the little wheat field I have back there.
Oh, okay.
You probably remember it.
I'll be dang. Yep. That's cool. Yeah.
Yep, I've got one, man, that's hitting back here. I didn't wait. You know how that deal is, but I got a deer that I've been watching. I think you've seen some pictures of him earlier. I got some phone scope of him. Now he's a stud. Unless my wife gets him, I guess he'll get a pass this year. But man, he's big. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the photos. Yeah, he's a legit megalodon. He's a giant, man. And I know the last time I was down there, Scotty, the morning I left, which it was like 4 a.m, I had to head to the airport. But, man, that buck ran across the street from in front of the house to heading behind your house. The first time in my life I've ever seen a deer, and I swear to God, this deer must have had 35-inch main beams on each side. The frame on this deer was so big, it was just mind-blowing, and I was like, man, that was worth the whole trip right there. To see a deer of that caliber was insane.
Yeah, with the throwing rock of the house is pretty cool, man.
Crazy. I wonder, I don't know, Scotty, did you ever hear of anybody killing that deer with the huge beams like that?
Man.
No? Oh.
No, I didn't. We don't have a ton of hunting pressure. There's some little small places like up the road from me that they do a little bit of hunting, but like just kind of weekend guys, go out on the weekends a little bit, and so there's just not a ton of pressure here. Yeah,
you're right, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm pretty there again. I'm pretty blessed, man. My neighbor that lives across the road from me just doesn't allow hunting. Not against it, or not a bad guy. He just don't allow hunting on his property, and he's got like there's I don't know. He's probably got 4,000 acres right there, and
yeah, that's huge.
And
yeah, that's a huge help, to believe it or not.
And it's a place to grow some deer, and he, of course, he don't have any agriculture. He's just a straight, just a rancher, and it's all native grasses and just native country. And I do put in wheat and different crops for my cattle, but I draw a lot of deer in off the neighbors and places like that. With I got 100 and some odd acres of wheat, so it helps pull deer over.
It does, yeah, for sure. All that does, for sure. But, yeah, I think everything about what you just said makes it magical, down there for you. Just the lack of pressure. And, when you get some food, you guys can really have that option, which is so neat to me, because we don't have that option where you guys can glass, like you were saying earlier in the podcast, from so far away and not even pressure the deer. They don't have a clue they're even being hunted or scouted, and you can do it relatively easy without any pressure, and it's pretty awesome.
It's cool, man. I don't have to go in my areas or my country any to like run cameras. I don't get big into running cameras till about 1st of September. Just kind of catch up on what the deer have done from last year. And you usually we normally know who's who. We kind of keep a halfway record of what's what. So. But anything before that, man, I enjoy, and that's my wife laughs. That's our weekly 2 nights a week date is going glassing.
Yep, that's a good time, man, for sure. But I know that you'll probably keep me updated here, Scotty. But thanks for being on, man, and I'm happy for your the deer you just killed, and you guys are putting down some slammers like always, and I'm always excited to open up a text that I get from you or Instagram and see what's happening, man. But keep it up, and I'm sure in the next week or two we'll probably be back on the podcast chatting.
Man, I hope so. I appreciate you having me, Brandon. It's always fun, man. And, I'll keep you updated. That's what we're fixing to go in here and load up the pickup and head back to camp for a while. I kind of log jammed us a little bit here, just back-to-back with a couple hunters. I got some guys coming in that's been hunting with me a long time. They'll be here in a little while. And Snyder, he's actually coming back. Wes got him hooked up over there on his ranch in Oklahoma, so he's coming back next week and going to go over there. And just busy from here on out. I got to break off and do an aoudad hunt here the 11th of December with a guy that's from New Mexico. So, man, I'm excited about that. That'll be fun. But, yeah, it's going to get busy, Brandon.
You always are. But, I'll be looking forward to hearing some of the stories. And good luck, Scotty. Tell everybody I said hey, and we'll chat again real soon. And
I will, man.
I appreciate it, buddy. And
thanks for having me. And, hey, get well soon, man. Maybe we can make you a late season deal out here.
Yeah, please. I hope so. Anyways, I'll let you know how I do today off the physical therapy. But actually, I don't know if you got it. I sent you a picture of my arm out of the cast. But, man, is it crazy? I look like a 7-year-old guy.
You're going to have to get you a gym membership rolling again.
Oh, right away. That's for sure. I've been walking every day, trying to keep my cardio up. Actually, the day surgery was Monday. Tuesday, I rested. Wednesday, I was back in the gym actually putting miles on. Maybe I got 3/4 of a mile. I was still a little droggy from the surgery or whatever, but I've worked out every day since. So I'm ready to go, man. So keep an old warrior tucked away for me somewhere down there in December. We'll make it happen.
We'll do it, Brandon, and I appreciate it, buddy, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Scotty.
You bet, buddy.